Some of you may have had the opportunity to be self-employed, where you are your own boss. And there's something to be said about that, right? I mean, that's great to have that feeling of, the business succeeds or fails based on me, based on this guy. But the downside of that, of course, is you've got to deal with everything. The day-to-day minutia, it's all yours. The high-level project planning, it's all yours. You got to deal with everything. In a bigger business, what ends up happening? Well, you end up with some folks with specific tasks that they do, and then managers that keep track of lots of those folks. Gang, when it comes to wireless, we can move from the mom and pop shop, the self-employed style of an autonomous mode access point to the more enterprise level, centralized deployment model where we will have a wireless LAN controller and an access point instead of just having an access point run everything, all the operations. Why would I do that? Well, when a client connects, what we can have is a division of labor with high-level responsibilities being handled by the controller and real-time, low-level media access control questions being handled by the access point. So beaconing, fielding the probe requests, managing the RF, client link, clean air controls, applying policies, encryption, decryption, all of that's being handled by the access point. So what's not being handled? Contacting the AAA server for validating authentication policies, looking at the groups, defining our groups of users and how they're going to function together, looking at the defining of our SSIDs and which access points are going to host which SSIDs for my network, VLAN access, all of that. So essentially, the application of the rules is being done by the access point. The actual fielding of the frames is being done by the access point. But the management, right? The management of all of that is being done by the controller. And literally this actually plays out where once the user has established a connection to the access point, in order to guide and make sure that we are maintaining the proper security, the access point will establish a tunnel with the controller for that user. And that means that not only will the control plane, like the policies and access questions, be defined by the controller, but the data will actually move through that secure tunnel between the access point and the controller before moving on to the switch portion of our network. This means that we have a central point of management for being able to control that. Now, this is different if you are in a Flex Connect environment. This is what it looks like in a standard centralized deployment, where all of the control and data plane operations are done at the controller, and only the real-time operations are handled by the access point. This is called split MAC. Remember, we think about a MAC address, but it really just refers to media access control. So those low-level operations, layer 2 operations, how are they functioning? Well, some of them are being handled by the access point, some of them are being handled by the controller, and this tunneling means that we actually end up working through both worlds. It's a split MAC environment. And this used to be done using using various different protocols, but at this point, we're going to see Cisco using CapWAP as the protocol to make that happen.